Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another exciting episode of Trigger Warning Radio. I am your host, the Kaiju Conservative. So, James O'Keefe, head of Project Veritas, the investigative journalist that has become infamous for these gotcha-style interviews targeting members of the left, has begun releasing a new series of videos detailing his investigation into the deep state within Washington, D.C. And the first subject of his first video is a State Department employee named Stuart Karaffa. Now, we have absolutely no idea what Mr. Karaffa does in the State Department. We don't know how high up he is in the State Department. From watching the video, it seems like he's doing some sort of statistical analysis or something like that. It's not exactly clear what exactly he does, but we do know a lot about Stuart Karaffa because in the course of the interview, quote-unquote interview that he did with Project Veritas, he was very, very chatty. But we do know that he is a card-carrying member of the Democratic Socialists of America. If you're not aware who the Democratic Socialists of America are, the DSA, as it's also known, is a very, 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 very left-wing branch of the Democrat Party. Very, very, very leftist, hard left. Think pretty much right in line with Bernie Sanders, maybe even a little bit further left than him. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, for example, she's a Democratic Socialist of America. Cynthia Nixon, the woman who challenged Andrew Cuomo for the Democratic primary for the governor of New York nomination, I believe she was also a DSA member as well. So it's a party that has been gaining some prominence in the last couple of months. Now, Karaffa admits that he does work for the DSA on the taxpayer's dime. He fully admits that he will craft press releases and do DSA work actually during business of things that he works on, but he does do this sort of thing on the taxpayer's dime. Now he spends the entire 11-minute video just bragging about the work that he does for the DSA and the fact that he's resisting the Trump administration and the fact that nobody knows that he's doing this. His supervisors don't know it. His co-workers don't know it. I mean, now the entire country knows it. Since his face is going to be plastered all over the conservative blogosphere within the next 24 hours. But, nobody at his job knows this. The ethics officer who's supposed to be monitoring for this sort of conflict of interest, doesn't know anything about it, and he admits that he is technically violating the law and that there ordinarily would be consequences for this sort of thing. In fact, he is violating the Hatch Act, which is a law that was put into place precisely to prevent this sort of political activism while on the taxpayer's dime, in order to minimize any conflicts of interest or anything like that. But he brags at the same time that even if people found out, there's no way he could be fired because it's extremely difficult to fire a federal employee. Now, I mentioned that Karaffa brags at one point about resisting the Trump administration essentially from within its own walls. And at one point, he says, and I quote, "resist everything, every level, fuck shit up." Now, again, we don't know how high up he is in the State Department. He could be a low-level flunky, drunk on his own power, who thinks he's more powerful than he actually is. He could be very high up in the State Department. We just don't know for sure. The only things that we do know about him is that he is a card-carrying leftist, a proud member of the resistance, and he is resisting President Trump while being paid taxpayer dollars, something which is extremely disturbing for anybody, I think. Now, the video itself is not terribly shocking, at least not to anybody who follows politics or has followed politics for the last couple of years. We've known for a while that there is this deep state, this shadow government that is made up, of Republicans from former administrations who are firmly in the Never Trump camp and Obama era holdovers and bureaucratic leftists and things like that. I mean, for God's sake, we had an entire FBI investigation that was started by the deep state with the express purpose of removing President Trump. We know the deep state is working against the duly elected president of the United States of America, working against the will of the people in order to impose their will and what they think is best for the country. These people are unelected, and they answer to nobody, as Mr. Karaffa confirms. So that part of the video is not shocking. What is shocking, though, is just the sheer brazenness of it all. The fact that Karaffa is just, he's not afraid. He's not in a shadowy, parking garage, getting all this on tape in the back of somebody's car. He's not deep throat. He's not working in the shadows. They're in a bar. He's very loudly discussing it. They're having a great old time, laughing about it and talking about it. My question is, where the hell does O'Keefe find these people? My God, the amount of chatty Cathys that he talks to. I know he's never going to reveal his methods, because that would completely destroy, his entire organization. He wouldn't be able to do this sort of thing anymore. But my God, two possibilities. Either he's misrepresenting himself to a lot of these people that he talks to, or he and his organization are engaged in some next level spy shit. It is just, it's absolutely remarkable how he finds these people and how he gets them to talk about all this. So, what is it? By the way, I'm going to put the link to the video in the description below, because it's a long video. I'm not going to play any of it for you here, and it's edited. It's a little sensationalized. Fair enough. O'Keefe's got to sell it and make it interesting. But I'll put the description in the link below, the link in the description below, rather, so that way you can take a look at it. I highly suggest you do, because it's definitely a video that you need to see. But what is O'Keefe's goal with all this? Well, like I said, it's not particularly shocking to those of us who are in the know. Those of us who follow politics, we know, like I said, this is something that's been happening for years. It's something that we've been telling everybody about, and it's something that we've been telling people is happening for years. I think what O'Keefe's goal here is it's to drag this sort of thing, kicking and screaming, into the sunlight in order to force Congress into some sort of action. Congress and government officials, the Department of Justice, that sort of thing. These are the kinds of people that have oversight of these departments. Congress, in particular, has oversight of the executive branch. This is something that they should be looking into, and if they're not, this video and the ones that are coming out in the future can be used to put pressure on various congressmen, congresswomen, senators, and get them to do do something about it. Same thing with the Department of Justice. These videos can be trotted out on Fox News, on Hannity, Rush Limbaugh, all those places throughout the conservative blogosphere. These are videos that can be taken to Jeff Sessions, and people can ask Jeff Sessions, why do people like Stuart Karaffa still have a job? Why are they not being prosecuted for working against a duly elected president of the United States? That's what I think his goal is here. It's not to be particularly shocking or surprising or anything like that. It's to force action is what it is. Now, what do I think needs to happen? First and foremost, I think what needs to happen is we need to make it easier to fire federal employees. If any of us in the private sector did something like this, something like Stuart Karaffa, we'd be fired in a heartbeat. Within 24 hours, you and I would be gone from our jobs if it was revealed that we were working against the companies. And we might even be subjected to legal action because of it, which, rightly so. This is not the sort of thing that we can allow. So we need to make it easy to fire people like Stuart Karaffa, who have obvious conflicts of interest and who are working against their superiors and against the federal government. And then we also need to take a good hard look into the oversight that is given to these positions. How are these people able to get into positions in government to where they're able to engage in resistance to the government? Number one, what kind of resistance are they engaging in? And number two, how are they able to do it? Something somewhere is not working, whether it's the vetting process, background checks, whether it's the interview process. Something somewhere there's a loophole somewhere that these these people are using to get in, and it needs to be closed. And I think James O'Keefe's interview today with Stuart Karaffa and the subsequent interviews, I think that's going to be a perfect tool to help create pressure on government officials to get this problem fixed. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Like I said, I'm going to put a link to the video in the description, so take a look at that video, watch it, and then come back here. As always, if you liked what you heard, leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Both those things help me out quite a bit, and I will see you all next time.